Is the hard of hearing world really moving towards a world of over-the-counter hearing aids and self-fitting options? Stick around for this video to find out. Hello! If you're new to my channel, my name is Emily. I created Definite Hearing as a way to increase awareness for the hard of hearing. I'm hard of hearing myself. I was diagnosed with my hearing loss at birth, and I was fitted with hearing aids at 4 months old. I love my hearing aids so much. Check them out. I have a moderate to severe, which means like I can only start hearing at the sound of a vacuum cleaner, and my hearing loss is genetic. My loss is a sensory neural hearing loss, which means that there is damage to my inner ear cells and or on my auditory nerve pathway. I'm just so grateful for my hearing aids because it compensates for that sensory neural hearing loss. A friend recently shared an article with me called The Rise of Disruptors in Hearing Healthcare by Carl Strom. In this article, Mr. Strom talks about how with the passing of the FDA legislation in 2017 for over-the-counter hearing aids to now, there are so many over-the-counter hearing aids that are going to hit the market. Now, the FDA has not released their standards of protocol for over-the-counter hearing aids, but this has created a lot of mixed feelings in the hard of hearing community, and especially with audiologists, about providing a solid standard of care. In his writing, Mr. Strom mentioned that there have been a lot of different hearing devices. Some have been successful and some have not been. Unsuccessful hearing devices include the Bragi Dash, which was Starkey partnering up with Bragi to create a hearing wearable. And essentially what this is it just amplifies sound. Another unsuccessful hearing accessory, I guess you could say, were Doppler Labs Dubs. These are like glorified earplugs. They looked pretty cool and sleek. They also had some really funny reviews. There was a law passed in 2017 that required that the FDA come out with over-the-counter hearing aid requirements and standards by late 2020. Due to COVID and other things, they just haven't done that yet. But there are a lot of hearing wearables that are waiting to enter the market once the FDA announces these standards for hearing devices. There are some small companies and some really big notable companies. These small companies include Nuheara, Eargo, Lucid Audio, and more. Big companies or big players in this potential over-the-counter hearing aid market include Google, Bose, and Apple. Am I really surprised? No, I'm not. My biggest concern is, are these companies going to employ hearing experts or audiologists? I hope so. It is important to note that before coronavirus, the standard of care for audiology, especially in America, was in-person care, and still is. Telehealth care has become more predominant, especially in the VA and the United Healthcare Insurance jurisdiction. In-person healthcare was just always the standard before this. People did it. There was one branch in Australia called Blamey and Saunders Hears that did telehealth appointments and predominantly did their audiology appointments via telehealth. This means that people would get on camera, talk to their audiologist, and be sent hearing aids in the mail. Now, just so you're aware, that is not and was not really legal in the US until the FDA was required to create over-the-counter hearing aid regulations. And they haven't done that yet. They still need to do that. But essentially what we're moving towards, and what Mr. Strom is talking about in his article, is that there are some big market disruptors on the horizon. Essentially, it has not been allowed to have telehealth and just mailing hearing aids to people. That is looking like it's going to be allowed in the future. For example, Florida just passed a law, CS/SB 700, that says that people above the age of 18 are allowed to mail hearing devices to other people. Well, when you start defining what this means, this essentially means that anyone with a license or without a license, depending on where you're at in Florida, can mail someone hearing aids. That is just a fact of that law. And there are a lot of really interesting opinions on that. Some people think, no, that should not be allowed because we need to maintain a standard of care for people with hearing loss. And other people think like, awesome, now I can get my hearing aids from anywhere and anyone and the laws of capitalism will drive the cost of hearing aids down. Regardless, audiology appointments have gone from strictly being in person to being a mix of in-person and telehealth to becoming strictly telehealth, and now there are rumors that it could be strictly DIY hearing aid fitting. This is wild. Thank you for sticking around to the end of this video. I just want to give my thoughts on all of these facts in this article. Let's start back at the beginning. Bose, Apple, Google, Apple especially, does not sell cheap products. People think that the opening of over-the-counter hearing aids will drive hearing aid prices down. I beg to differ. I will be so happy if Apple and Google and these big companies can create hearing aids that are as great as ReSound, Enzo, Oticon, Starkey's hearing aids are, and cut them on the cost. This is price penetration of a market. I would love to see that happen. But look at where Apple's prices are now compared to Android. They are undoubtedly a lot more expensive. And I personally use Apple products because I like them and I'm willing to pay more for them. So it will be really interesting to see if over-the-counter hearing aids will really become more accessible. They are more accessible, but will they be less expensive? We're going to have to see. What do you think? Do you think that Apple will come out with a hearing aid that's less expensive than Phonak hearing aids, ReSound's hearing aids, or other name brand hearing aids? Do you think that they'll be more expensive? Regardless, I want to hear in the comments below. Please share. Some other thoughts I have on this are regarding the standard of care. Now, I love myself, I trust myself, but I do not know what I do not hear. That is the hardest part about a hearing loss. And the idea of self-fitting, though it is tempting and though I am like a penny pincher, I understand the expertise of a doctor and the expertise of someone to look at the scientific mapping of my hearing aid and say, like, we need to adjust this. Like, I definitely want to educate myself and be able to understand what my audiogram says, but I don't want to have to do all the work that an audiologist has done in their years of schooling. So the idea of self-fitting for me, even telehealth for me, I dislike it. I value personal contact. I value going to someone who knows what they're talking about and has expertise in it, and quite frankly, is passionate about it. I don't think I've ever met an audiologist that is not passionate about what they do. I mean, they went through 8 years of schooling to get where they're at, and a lot of people get weeded out. So naturally, the people that are audiologists are passionate about it. They love giving back. They love helping people hear. And so the idea of telehealth, the lack of that true human contact, like, I don't know if I'm just craving it because of coronavirus right now. Like, I'm so sick of Zoom calls. I'm so sick of like FaceTime. I just want to be with people. I just don't like that idea. And then the idea of self-fitting, how will I ever know what I'm missing out on? I won't know. The only reason I know that like I'm not hearing something is because those around me tell me. They're like, hey, you didn't hear what I said. This is what I said. Or, hey, like, I notice your speech is getting a little garbled, or you're not saying your consonants at the end of your words. Like, I just wouldn't know. And I want to know that. I want to like be aware of myself, but I can't do that fully from the inside out. Sometimes I need help from the outside in. So, whoa, I definitely thought a lot about Mr. Strom's article. It was super insightful, and I'm really interested to see where this kind of all pans out. And I would love to hear your thoughts. What are your thoughts on over-the-counter hearing aids? What are your thoughts on these hearing aid disruptors? What do you think it will do to pricing? What do you think it will do to the standard and quality of hearing aid and audiology care? I would love to hear in the comments below. Please don't hesitate to share. There are going to be so many opinions across the board. And guess what? I don't think there's one opinion that's right. I think we're all different and everyone has a different opinion for themselves. And I'm all for having all the options and letting people choose what's best for them. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you haven't already, please like this video and subscribe to my channel. I look forward to making more great videos for you. Please remember to stay strong and stay amazing. Have a great day. Bye.